So you've probably had a go at Biffa's 30-minute panic challenge by now, and you're wondering why, no matter how hard you try, you can't get anywhere near the big scores that some of the other YouTubers are getting. And the answer is that you suck at City Skylines. But don't worry, it's not your fault, and I'm going to explain why. By the end of today's show, you will be empowered to smash your own record. Hi, I'm BonBonB, and you are very, very welcome. First up, if you're on console, well, the game engine runs much slower over there, so that's not your fault. You need the game to be running as fast as is possible, so sorry, but at least you've got a very good excuse for apparently sucking, because, well, you don't. But what about us PC users? Well, tell you what, let's have a look at my two speed runs side by side to compare and see what's different. Firstly, you can instantly see that in the second attempt, on the right, I start zoning much sooner than in the first. The first build, I wanted good traffic flow throughout. You do want good traffic flow. People and goods do need to get into your city, otherwise it won't grow, and you want it to grow fast. But I spent way too much time extending away from the entrance, and by the time the very first residents moved in, my second city was already at 300. And the difference stayed fairly static at around 300 until about the 3,000 population mark. Simple tips like raising taxes to 12% to maximise income, supplying the service demands of the Sims such as power, water, fire and police, were both very similar between the two grid-based cities. Parks and education would come in as soon as the milestones unlocked, and yes, I could have made better use of the tree-lined avenues. But all told, once these two cities started expanding, there was very little reason why they couldn't grow at the same rate. Heck, my first city's traffic system should have benefited it more than the second. So what was the difference? Well, the rush is to get to the 6th milestone, Big Town. With Big Town you get the ability to place high density residential, buildings which house more than twice as many people, thus seeing your growth speed potentially double. The earlier your city reaches Big Town, the longer it has to benefit from the double growth. And this is why you suck. Your city isn't reaching Big Town early enough. But I'm trying, you say. I'm really, really trying. But like I said, the reason that you suck isn't your fault. And here's why. Now sit down, this is going to hurt. Not all maps are equal. Now, you kind of knew this already. Some maps are flat and great for grid cities, the only sort of city you want in a speed build. Some have a river running through them, forcing you to build a bridge, costing money and breaking the grid. And some have, well, more build planes, some have less. And this last point is the most important. Now, you might think that the very first milestone, with the medical centre and the 20,000 cash boost, comes in at the same time every time. Well, I'm going to tell you that it doesn't. Milestones are based approximately on the amount of build space in your start square. The more space you have, the more you have to grow to unlock the next milestone. I know, right? The bad news is that this isn't shown on the loading page. The information here is for the map as a whole, and the calculation is based on the start square only. The good news is, I've done all of the legwork for you. This morning I looked through all 46 base game and DLC maps, noting the start square percentage, and then when each of the first 3 milestones kicked in, and then the population required for the big town in the most promising maps. And we'll take a look at all of them now. There are 6 maps which reach Big Town with a population of 1,000 or lower, and all but one require DLC, so I'll show you all of them so that you can make up your own mind. So we're going to start off with Black Woods. Now this is the only one of these maps that's in the vanilla base game. It's a Boreal map and we all have access to it. This is the map that I did my second attempt on, getting 11,658 population, so it's a good shout for a map. Now, what can I tell you in terms of stats? It's got 56% build space. We hit the milestones 1, 2 and 3 at 320, 650 and 1,000 population respectively, with Big Town being reached at 5,500. Now let's have a quick look at the map close on in, and you can see the advantage of this map are that it's very flat. It's also very square in terms of doing a grid system. You can see how a grid system would fit pretty nicely onto this map. Also, the water flow, we have good water flow right here. If I turn the motion on, there you can see it's taking away the sewage, so it's quite easy to avoid water pollution into your drinking water. On top of that, if you were able to, and you won't, but if you were able to actually fill up this entire tile, the next obvious tile to buy into, which is the one directly behind it, good build space in there as well. Plus we've got the rail, and there's a little bit of a hill over there, but it's not too bad. It's not as strong, the second tile, as the first one, but that is a really good start. And I'd give this one a very strong 8 out of 10. Next up, we have Marble Canyon from the Industries DLC. It has identical stats to that of Blackwoods in terms of milestones, with milestones 1, 2 and 3 being hit at 320, 650 and 1000, with Big Town being hit at 5500. The build percentage is just slightly lower at 53%, but it has the advantage of having absolutely no clutter to demolish in the actual build plane. There's no rocks, and we have no jetties or anything like that to get in the way. There's a bit of a drop down to the water's edge, but I don't see that as being any sort of problem for putting in your pumping solutions. On the downside, minor downside, the highways do encroach a little bit more into the tile than you probably would want, and I'd recommend bulldozing them back by one tile to give yourself a little bit more build space. If you were to fill in the tile, and again I don't think you will, the next tiles are looking pretty strong, certainly stronger than the previous map, Blackwoods. I would suggest probably exploring out in that direction. So that's it. I reckon that this map deserves a very strong 7 out of 10. Our third map is Fisher Enclave, which comes with the Sunset Harbour DLC. Now this gets off to a flyer. It has a 52% build space, which is the lowest so far, and your bonus for that is that the very first milestone kicks in at 300 rather than 320, which is good. And then it stays level with the first two maps at 650 and 1000, but Big Town doesn't kick in until 6000, which instantly makes you look away, and so it should. On top of that, there are other minor problems with this map. First of all, we've got clutter, which will need demolishing. Once again, not a big problem to demolish it, it's just one more little thing to do, and when you are speed building, you don't really have time to do these things. We even have a machine gun post up here on the island, which doesn't make any sense at all, but okay, we'll go with that. So yes, it looks pretty. But then on top of that, we have the actual highway running through the start square, which you'll probably want to demolish and build into like a smaller road and connect it across this way, just to give yourself that little bit of extra build space. Build space is absolutely everything. Now, if you were to fill the tile, and I don't believe that you would, but if you were, you don't want to be expanding in that direction because it's just all highways. This way just is really awkward, and again, it's more highways. That way isn't too bad. If you want to go across that way, you could. That way, again, doesn't look too bad. It's a kind of a tie between those two tiles. Neither one of them are particularly exciting, but again, I don't believe that you will fill the tile. But if you do, those are your options. Overall, I think what with the higher Big Town target, plus the slightly lower build space and the clutter in the tile itself, I'd go 3 out of 10 for this map. Our fourth map is Prussian Peaks, which comes with the Natural Disasters DLC, and it has identical milestones to the first two maps at 320, 650 and 1000, before Big Town at 5500. That's kind of where the fun ends, because although it has 52% build space, which is very similar to the first two maps, it's very hilly. And hilly is not conducive to a very good grid city. You're going to be losing cells here and there, especially on the steepest areas. So if I was to build a grid there, you can see we're losing a clump of tiles. It's not good, it's not ideal. Plus we have these rivers in the middle, and not the easiest places to build bridges either. I'm going to say that this map is my least favourite so far. I think it is workable, but I can't give it more than 2 out of 10. Our fifth map, I think, is going to win a few of you over, although it does have some drawbacks. The milestones for this map are lower than all of the others so far, at 300, 600, 950 and 5,000 for Big Town, with a 52% build space. The disadvantages to this map are kind of the shape of the island, in we losing a little bit of space over here for decent gridding. That's a bit of a holdback. We've got some clutter to demolish as well in these rocks. Not that that's going to take long. It's just one more job. And also we've got an intersection in the start tile, which is going to be great for splitting traffic up, but it takes a lot of space. And I would recommend demolishing all of this right off the bat and just starting from where the bridge enters into the island. We have got down here the Essential Lighthouse. Ah, isn't she lovely? And I've got just some clutter for demolishing. But in terms of Essential Lighthouses, that's one of the better ones I've seen in vanilla. If you were to fill the tile, and I don't believe that you will, that is not a good direction to go. This is not a good direction to go. Back that way is not the worst, but again, it's not ideal. You're probably going to want to come out this way and build into that. It's not the strongest, but you're probably okay. You're not going to fill up this tile, just so long as you demolish your intersection to start off with. So that's Marin Bay from Campus, and that's our leader so far with 8 out of 10. Our next map is a wildcard map. It is the 6th and final map of those that have a third milestone of 1,000 or fewer, but it's not the last map today. There is a bonus map coming, so don't disappear just yet. This has a build space of just 20%, with milestones coming in at the lowest by a long way at 120, 240 and 360, with Big Town at 1,800. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, I did play test this one because I was curious to see how it would work. And it does work. It just slows you down because you cannot grid city really quickly. How I did it was I had this as industries down here. I even built bridges across to these two tiles to get a bit more industries. Believe me, even this little bit. Then we had a bridge coming across. This was all residential over here. We had commercial here and then bridges across to this big island at the top. Honestly, by the end, I had high density residential on this big tile at the top, and I'd already bought into the next tile above it so I could expand my high density residential into that. But time ran out. There are all sorts of problems with building all these bridges, buying into all of these tiles. Honestly, it slows you down more than you would believe. Even with the advantage of hitting Big Town so early, you will do well to do well on this map. Other than that, I would suggest, like I say, the next tile would be over here, just because you already would have built a huge amount into this island over here, and everywhere else just doesn't really entice you to build into. So if you do, and I suspect you would fill in those 20% of build space, you would then be buying into that tile, which you will have money for. You will have money for it. That's all good. A couple of things to demolish early on. A couple of these jetties, just get rid of them. Actually, I left that one in place. It didn't get in my way, but this one really did. Water flow is a bit of a problem. The water flow flows around this way. So if you are going to be doing this one, to be drawing the water from over this side, putting your sewage on this side, definitely go with that plan. It is a wildcard map. It's not one I would recommend, but I think it can score 5 out of 10 because it is flat and it does have that advantage of those. You'll be clicking through the milestones quicker than you can actually build. I promise you that. So that's the archipelago from natural disasters, but I did promise you a wildcard map, and that's coming up right now. Our bonus map is this one, and it's just a little bit broken, but that's a good thing if you're a speed builder. A few of you might recognise this one from Taradra's speed build, where they got to 15,285, which is absolutely insane. Partly down to their skills as a City Skyline speed builder, but also having the right map. And this is the right map. This is going to get 9 out of 10. But let me give you the stats. The stats are higher than the previous maps. We've got more build space at 69%, which means you think that the milestones are going to be slightly higher, and actually they are. The first one comes in at 380, the second one at 700, and the third one at 1100. But Big Town comes in at an insanely low 4,200. You're going to be building high density residential at 4,200, which is 1,300 faster than I was on my speed build. Shall we check out the map anyway? We'll come down and have a look. You'll see that it is actually a really flat, apart from this ridge here, but that ridge is easy to build around. You'll just fill in this block here, come down and then fill that. You'll still be grid city, you'll just be losing a small triangle out of it. There's not much to demolish, if anything. This jetty isn't going to be in the way. The Essential Lighthouse, isn't she beautiful? She's not in the way. And we've got a few rocks on the beach up here. Again, I don't even think that they're in the way. You are really just free to build as a flat build space, with the bonus of the fast approach into Big Town. Even the highway doesn't encroach too much into the map. It's just all set and ready to go. Now, if you did manage to somehow fill this tile up in the half an hour, and if you do, you're a better man than me, or anybody else for that matter, you've got this tile I would suggest to build it out into. You've just got a huge chunk of land immediately available right there, and again, it's all flat right to the end of the peninsula. Honestly, that is the only choice if you're going to do a speed build, as proven by Taradra and their insanely high score. But if you fancy taking on any other build, then go for it. But yeah, 9 out of 10 for this one. The only thing that could have increased the score, I feel, would be if it was slightly flatter in front. If the highway entrance was over this side and you didn't have to work around the hill right off the bat. Absolutely insane. Brilliant speed builders map, and the only one to go for. Whole new island from Park Life there. So that's it. I hope my advice has been of some use to you and will help you smash your previous efforts, because you don't suck at City Skylines. You don't. The maps do. You have been playing the wrong map, and now with this information you'll be able to go in, and even if you don't have the DLC, you've got a list of maps there that will get you cracking onto a higher, faster population on your speed build than ever before. Thanks for watching, for commenting, for liking, and for subscribing. I've been BonBonB. You've been very, very welcome, and I will see you very, very soon.